the second episode of... I almost forgot the name of our podcast. The Rock Bottom Enduro Podcast.
Yeah.
A second episode for
Maybe going through a
2024.
slow name change, branding, rebranding.
Yeah. This might be the last episode ever at our rate.
Could be.
Because
Matt's leaving.
if Matt moves in June, like at the current rate.
Tubular bells.
Yeah, we'll do, we'll figure something out. There's got to be a way that, I mean, people do it all the time, right? They do podcasts and videos and whatever in different locations.
Oh,
They
100%.
do.
There's
We
got to
can,
be a way to do it.
Mike can figure it out. Mike's the smart guy.
Yeah.
Mike is the technology IT part of the
Maybe I'll
Quite
build
lazy there, too.
maybe I'll build my own podcast studio
What?
like this one. You guys like the new vibe?
This is nice. I like this.
Thanks. I made this wall.
I feel like we're talking really, maybe because we're inside. I feel like we're talking quiet.
We could talk.
I kind of feel like
Well, I mean,
that one SNL skit.
I think we're probably good, though, in this.
Our volume is, like, as long as the microphone
Like
is in the right spot.
The
it's good volume.
sweaty balls.
Sweaty.
Yeah, that's good.
Wow.
So
Anyway, so what's this about? What are we doing?
well, we said we're going to talk about. Let me get on here too. Let me stretch out here.
I feel like a lot has changed in the 8 months since our last episode.
Like what?
And also a lot has stayed the same. I feel like we're different people in different stages of life.
I would say that. That's probably true.
Yeah, I was gonna give you crap, but I mean it's probably pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we've actually not been writing that much.
Yep. I might be done. I might never ride a dirt bike again.
That makes me sad.
Give you
We'll see what happens.
$5,000 for your Yamaha.
What? That's a deal. I might take you up on
Oh God.
it. You already said you wanted it. No takesies.
And I'll
backsies.
give you $5,000 for the Husky.
No. I'm kidding. But it needs to warm up. Like this winter setting in at like what, October?
Bro,
Really destroyed me.
2 feet of snow
Yeah.
early October, like, kind of wrecked me for riding a little bit. I don't know. I just haven't been as stoked about it as I used to be.
Yeah, I think just with all the things going on in all of our lives right now,
busy.
it's harder to.
Focus. Even like
Well, I mean, it'd be different if it was like 60 degrees out, moist,
I honestly
nice dirt.
Give me that.
You know, like I've got 3 spare hours. Like, yep, let's go ride. But now it's like, hey, I've got this minuscule amount of time. You want to go out in the 4 degrees and 2 feet of snow?
No,
I don't.
no, I don't.
No, thank you.
Absolutely not.
Well, oftentimes, like a lot of me getting pumped is just sitting around all week, like, can't wait to get out.
Yeah.
I have no time to think about anything other than my miserable life.
Work has been busy for you, I know for sure. Work has been busy for me. Matt, you got school going, so your free time is nil. And like my family, like we've been busy this year, like traveling and doing all kinds of, like visited family. We went on that trip.
Yeah, but I mean to talk to you about that. You do too much stuff with your family. You should dial that back.
Yeah, maybe I should.
This is true. I agree.
They don't appreciate me enough. Not like you guys.
Yeah, so we
It's a stretch, too.
You know, God, it's been so long since the last podcast. We just had to look to confirm when it even was because we don't remember. It was like middle of March.
Are you kidding me?
And we were
Yeah,
sitting in
March-
the middle of December.
Well, so March 14th is when it published to Spotify.
We're so bad. Bro.
And I feel like
It is December 13th.
I
as
feel like we
record.
kind of dragged feet to get it published. So I mean, we probably recorded like
March 1st.
which is
March 1st.
Yeah, we may have recorded February. I don't know. It's been forever. So I guess kind of like a segue into what we're gonna do is, the dirt bike stuff got kind of
You can only talk about that crap for so long.
yeah, exactly. Like there's only so much you can talk about, right? Unless we're covering like news, recent events.
Or interviewing people. Which,
Cody Webb going to Yamaha.
Which is kind of a cool deal.
Stuff
That's
like
going to be
that.
fun to watch, I think.
You think Yamaha did him like P. Diddy?
What's that?
You got to do a little something for me.
Oh, like he had to do something for Yamaha, or Yamaha did
Say.
something for
Yeah,
something
even
for
though
him?
Yamaha's like, oh, cool, I get a bike that vibrates bad, but they're big enough to P. Diddy you. Probably to.
I would
make you-
assume their pockets are probably bigger than Sherco.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, understatement. I know
For sure.
So I would assume for him to leave. Well, I mean, I can't blame him for leaving Sherco, but
Same.
No, it's
Like as much as that YZ250 vibrates, it vibrates less than a
no.
Sherco.
That is nonsense. You've had a YZ250.
Yeah, but it was
hasn't
a-
changed any.
It was a 2000.
It hasn't changed any.
Oh man.
It hasn't changed.
Yeah, but I
It's
don't
just
think
as
your
vibey.
Sherco or my Sherco was yours was worse than mine. For some
Dude, yours
reason.
was a
I don't
paint
know
mixer,
why.
dude. I felt like I was riding a paint mixer at Home Depot.
Well,
I don't know
Things
why
will
your
be right.
bikes always get trashed so quickly. Because you're not a bad rider. You don't drop your bike.
trying to
You don't
do stuff. I
You
drop
don't.
it
You don't launch it though. Like I
launched
don't.
the- you remember when I launched the Husky like the week I got it?
Yeah,
broke the-
but some
broke the
people
throttle.
launch it a lot more.
True.
Some people.
I never
Some
launched your
people
Husky.
say.
I've launched my bikes a lot of times.
Many types. I don't know. It doesn't feel any better.
It's aftermarket.
Maybe like a long day of like enduro where you're on the clutch.
But also,
a
he
lot.
he was saying the big part is like for hard enduro, you don't have to adjust anything. The hydraulic adjusts automatically, whereas a cable clutch, when like a clutch is getting hot and wearing
Yeah.
out, they have to adjust it throughout the day manually.
That makes sense.
And you see that on like even supercross, motocross racers. Those guys will tighten their clutch cable up on a mud race, because they're burning the clutch like crazy. So
Yeah, and I mean, and again, like some of your, what do you have? 250 FX.
Oh, for the yeah.
Yeah. I mean that it's cable and it feels fine. It's not,
dude, that for a
it's
cable
not
clutch,
heavy.
that thing is sweet.
But maybe
yeah,
like
for any clutch, it's
maybe
sweet.
hours of a hard enduro.
Yeah, and I think that's the big.
probably could get a little adjustment, sure, but even just clutch feel,
Yeah, arm
finger
pump
could get
and stuff like
tired
that.
out. I don't know. Interested to see what they do.
So I hold my mic now. So
I feel like that's like a Bob Barker.
Like Bob
I know.
Barker.
Hey, come on down. Price is right.
We should have got those long, skinny
Just
Bob
leave those
Barkers.
long ones.
Yeah.
That'd be dope.
Don't forget to spay and neuter your pets. Yeah, kind of just going back to the whole what we're doing now is not that we were burnt out per se, but I mean, there's only so much you can talk about tires and oil and premix and tires.
Especially since we all have similar opinions on that kind of stuff. So it'd be fun if we were arguing about it, but like we kind of all see things pretty similarly.
We're all
Yeah, and then so I'm sure you guys have seen if you've been around for a while. We've kind of reached out like, hey, what do you want to talk about? What should we discuss? Kind of thing. And then somebody mentioned at one point, like you guys should do more of kind of like a Joe Rogan-esque wide variety of topics, and mentioned supernatural stuff, which I don't say super into, but I find it very interesting.
We're super into the yes, you
Super,
are.
supernatural. No,
Really?
I mean, it's not like I just watch
That's fine.
stuff all the time. I'm not obsessed.
No, we wouldn't want you to be obsessed. that's a big shoes to fill here between me and J-Bo if you're gaming obsessed.
But we kind of like, and then you like the idea as well. I know you find the stuff interesting too. J-Bo's just kind of
yeah.
happy to be here. So
I am happy to be here.
he's along for the ride. So, we did the UFO one back in March that I haven't even looked at metrics, but I'm sure it got
7
dozens of views worldwide.
dozen. I haven't looked.
And then we've kind of talked about doing like a ghost demon kind of thing for forever.
Yeah, 'cause
I have a good story to share.
I know.
Yeah, we've been waiting for
Story.
J-Bo's story, and
I think you have story.
Yeah, I
Did
got
you
a
already tell
little story that I've been holding on to.
See?
I
we're
posted a comment
finally
on
doing
the IG page today. It's like you can't talk about demons without talking about angels, because I have a story where I'm certain that an angel saved my life.
Are we jumping straight into that, or what are we?
We
doing?
don't. We'll, I'm just saying, like
We
can
could
kinda
talk
do-
about the stories and then go into what we think it might be, and
Yeah, if you tell your story slow.
yeah, just tell your story. Start out. Let's hear the story that we've been waiting to hear.
Do I go first?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's your story. You go first.
So you want to hear the story about the time I saw a demon?
Yeah.
Do you have multiple stories?
So, kind of depends because, like, when I was a kid, I remember laying in my bed and like feeling something in my room and like hot breath on my face.
There wasn't like an uncle or anything?
No, I
Uncle
know.
Tim, what are you doing here, bud?
We didn't have close family
Shut
members.
up.
Like we didn't like hang out with
It's the
uncles.
devil.
But yeah, like I remember
You missed that one.
Okay.
It was weird. Like
Yeah.
and like like it's one of those times. It's like, have you ever have a situation where that's like burned into your memory and you can still
Oh, yeah.
see the details? Like I
Like
can
lots
still
of
see the
those.
details of my room.
Yeah.
And so like that happened when I was a kid. But the time I like saw what I'm pretty sure was a demon, I was in college.
In college.
Yeah, I was in college. I went to a Bible college, actually.
Yeah.
And so I'm in Waxahachie, Texas, at a Bible college that is now called Nelson University. It was called Southwestern back in those days. But in my memory, I can still see all the details of the room. Like it was a small room. It was obviously late at night. I woke up. Excuse me. I was on like
You having a spiritual attack
I
right
am.
now?
I don't know.
Tell the story.
It's just like I can still kind of see what the room looked like. I was on the top bunk. My roommate was on the bottom bunk.
Oof, top bunk with the devil down there.
Well, I woke up in the middle of the night and there was a figure, like a dark figure, standing over my roommate. And so I'm laying on the top bunk and it's eye level with me. And so I look at it and it looks up at me. And it has like the way it looked, it was just like a shadow with a face.
Bro.
And it was like had like eyes, nose, and a mouth, but they were like empty.
You didn't take like a lot of Benadryl to go to sleep this night?
No, I
Seeing
did not.
shadow people?
And like I just
The Hat
remember
Man?
I remember looking at it and it looked up at me like it was surprised to see me awake. And so it just kind of yeah. And so and like
It's terrifying.
and I'm
Like
just
crying.
staring like eye to eye with this
Yeah.
shadow figure
Okay.
as he's looking at me. So I start praying because I mean,
As one does.
as one does. Well, I mean,
Hopefully.
I'm a Christian. I've been a Christian my whole life. I'm at a Bible college, and so I start praying like, Jesus' name, you got to get out of here. Like you don't belong. And so when I started praying, it had like its facial expression turned to like it was afraid, and
Doesn't
it
like that,
and it
yeah.
and it whisked out the window.
What?
Yeah.
Brother.
And so I'm like,
This is true story?
dude,
I believe you.
Like when you say
I do believe you.
it whisked out the window.
like it like
like
jumped.
it teleported through the window.
Well, the
It
window-
wasn't like trying to get its leg
No,
out.
like the window
and
was like
shimmy out.
cracked open, and like imagine what an animator would draw a cartoon to go through a crack in a window,
Really?
and it zooped and it went out the window.
Do
and
you
took
think
off.
it would have gotten out if the window was shut?
Probably so,
Is this demon like a hamster where it can compress into a small space?
like a raccoon. It goes through like small. So anyway,
Sort of ethereal being, sir. Okay.
I'm super freaked out.
Okay.
But like so, like I pray myself to sleep at that point. The next morning, I'm talking to my roommate. I'm like, dude, I'm describing to him what I saw. And he's like, bro, that's so weird. And he starts telling me that night he was having like demonic, lustful, disgusting dreams
About
like,
you.
And he's like, I felt trapped. I couldn't move. I couldn't get up. And he said, then at some point, like I just felt this like peace over me, and I slept great the rest of the night. And like I think it was about the time I saw this thing and it jumped out the window that he like went from being like in a demonic terror dream to like peaceful.
That is wild, dude. It truly is. I wish I had my phone. I have some notes, but I'm also recording on my phone.
You want to take? I mean, I could tell the story
no,
again,
because no, it's
and feel free to ask questions and poke holes in it. Like,
oh, I'm not here to poke holes. I want it to be true, so I'm not going to poke holes.
it's very true to me. Like I can.
No, I believe
like it's
it.
like
it's not
it's
very scientific.
It's a very well. No, it's not scientific, but it's a.
I want it to be true, so I'm not going to question it.
Oh yeah,
But like, it's
not
a
here to do a
very
double-blind
vivid
study on
memory
this.
to me. Like I can remember it like it was yesterday. And this would have been So Dustin and I were roommates. Probably like, I don't know, fall of '97, fall of '98 time frame. So it's been more than 20 years.
Well, that's interesting. So, what I was going to say, I was going to kind of talk about the different stages of possession, right? So that scenario would be a stage that your friend was going through,
Right.
So,
and
he's
I wouldn't put that in, like, I know it's semantics, but I wouldn't call it possession, but I would call it.
It is. It
being-
is. It is in so much that, like, you don't physically have to be possessed. So, like, the first thing for a possession, like,
Mike's Catholic for everybody that doesn't know it. Like, and the Catholics, like, you guys wrote the book on exorcism.
I think so. Like, not me,
Well, but I'm talking like
But-
Catholics in general.
but just your normal temptation,
Right.
Right. You know, like I wouldn't say it's possession, but it would be categorized as like the lowest, right?
right.
Okay. So
I put
that's
that like
normal.
When you say temptation,
like where it's just like, you know, you're
like
like,
me wanting a Christmas tree cake,
no, like
that could be as who is the
might be
glutton
that sloth,
demon?
yeah,
Sloth.
Beelzebub,
I don't know. What's his name?
Beetleborg.
Beetleborg.
what people call the intrusive thoughts, right? Like,
Intrusive thoughts. Exactly. So, temptation.
and when I say it's a matter of semantics, like when you say, I've heard it described like this: possession entails ownership, right? And so you can be tormented, you could be oppressed,
okay.
but unless you're like turning yourself over or you've opened yourself up in some way,
That's something else.
you know, like
Right.
possession is like.
Sure. Wish I had
Anyway,
my notes.
we're getting pretty deep in, I don't know, semantics or theology, but there's definitely a torment issue, and I think that's what my roommate was experimenting
Torment.
with. Torment.
Yeah, I would say that's probably what I'm looking for is that word. I have beautiful notes right on that camera right there. It drives me crazy.
They're in the camera.
Yeah, they're in the computer.
Oh, dang.
Sadly.
Can you not? Is it not synced with your computer here?
Do you want to pause and like
No, it could be.
email them to yourself? I didn't take any notes.
If
I
your
didn't really
phone's
prepare
not
for this.
synced to your computer, you should definitely set that up.
We got a lot of cables here.
Do you remember the story that I told you?
No. What story?
When we were coming back, when we rode up in what was our Breck that we rode? Aspen,
Oh.
somewhere. Wherever we rode with that one dude that day, like Tiger something.
Oh, Tommy. Yeah,
Tommy.
Tiger Road.
That one dude that one day. Man,
The big tall guy.
Well, I mean, when we've ridden 4 times this year,
I know.
kind of narrows down.
I'm doing the math in my head. I was like, man, I've ridden 6 times this year.
Nah, we rode quite a bit in like spring, early summer. Not as much as years past, but yeah. With like my granddad and like the. No, you don't. I'll tell it again.
Yeah, please.
Because it kind of does tie into, not necessarily tie in, but
Tism?
no, just like the fact, the location, I guess, maybe could potentially tie in. But so I have kind of 2 stories. One that's something that happened to me, and one I just remember again, like super vividly, right? And God, I was a kid, right? Because, my granddad died in like 96, 95. So I mean, I would have been, don't want to dox myself here, but about 9 or 10 years old at that time.
Was your grandpa Kurt Cobain? She died in...
How'd you know?
That's crazy.
Yeah. Kurt Cobain's my grandfather.
Dope. Not up to the name.
No, but so again, I mean, you're talking something almost 30 years ago, maybe roughly 30 years. Probably, I mean, honestly, the time it happened probably was 30 years ago, and I remember, this thing. He wasn't even talking to me; he was talking to my dad. So, kind of paint the picture where I grew up, pretty rural, like farmland area. Our house is, basically surrounded, technically on all 4 sides by, fields, with the exception of, the road that goes through. But at any rate, I remember being just a young little Matt, and
You had hair.
I had it, yeah.
Just a full head of hair.
So full head, full of life and hopes and dreams.
The world's in front of you. It's yours.
But I remember my granddad just like crashing through our door, and he's like just freaked out, like visibly like upset. And I remember him telling my dad like his truck was parked like either like kind of like in our yard next to the field, or the truck was like actually in the field, but on the edge of it. At any rate, like he had like basically this like weird feeling, and I don't know if like he heard or saw something first that made him crawl under the truck, or like out of fear he crawled under. But apparently at some point like he crawled under his truck and was like hiding, and he said he could hear what sounded like somebody was like riding a horse, or there was a horse, and it was like
Galloping,
traipsing around the truck, right?
Yeah.
And I think he said he saw it, or maybe those details are kind of fuzzy, but
Like something was looking for him?
I don't. I mean, he didn't say that per se, but he just heard and or saw like a freaking horse, right? But then he kind of went away, and he got out, and there was like no hoof prints like in the dirt in the field, and so that's when he like ran through the house and kind of crashed through the front door. Yeah, I remember being a kid, and like, of course, I'm all freaked out, like, oh,
devil horse.
So also, this is like rural South Carolina. An uncle of mine has gone like around the field and the yard and stuff before with metal detectors, and has found like old like musket balls about a mile, maybe 2 miles or so from the house. There's actually like there's these cannons that are, I don't think they're original, but there's cannons like in this monument that like that was a location of like some Civil War battle. So that was kind of weird, right? And then my personal story, so probably around the same time, around that same age, I remember being home alone. I want to say like my dad, like he went to town to like get his food or something like that, and then he's like, "Oh, you'll be home by yourself?" I'm like, "I'm a big kid, of course." Oh, I'm good. And then like instantly just feel freaked out, right? And I remember we had this thing. It was like it was a motion detector.
That would like a floodlight thing.
No, it was like it's like a small box. Like think of like kind of like a fairly modern, or even like a PC speaker. You know what I'm talking about? So like a little box like that.
Okay.
Kind of thing. And it was this motion detector. So when like something moved in front of it, it would go like bing bong and make a sound.
Sounds terrible.
Oh, like at a department store.
Yeah, I guess. But this was just like a little box.
Right. Yeah,
just
little.
And it may have come from my dad's store, because my dad did own a store, Christian bookstore, by the way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mardell's by chance?
No. Newman's.
Got that Mardell's
Newman's.
Newman's books.
But I remember like I felt creeped out. So like living room is here, and the hall is like to the left. That goes back, like my brother's bedroom is left, parents' bedroom to the right. For whatever reason, like I set this motion detector up like at the end of the hall. I'm getting freaking goosebumps right now.
That's scary. Me too.
At the end of the hallway,
My nipples are
and
hard.
I'm sitting on the couch, and I'm just like, just like super hyper aware, and then I hear bing bong, and swear to God, like look down the hall, and I see kind of like this figure, like mist, not shadow. It wasn't dark. It was like mist. Like, I mean, it was like more gray, I guess. Not full on shadow, but I mean, it was just like this misty kind of thing. And I mean, it looked like a person, right? That walked from like my brother's room across the hallway to like parents' room. And then I shut the hallway had a door, and I shut the hallway, and I was just like on the couch, like all the lights were on, and like just super freaked out.
I would have come out of my skin.
You got to put on the happiest television in the world. Yeah, that shit's going on.
Yeah,
Bro.
so that's my story.
Bro.
Yeah.
At that age, I would have come unglued probably.
How old were you? 12?
Probably like 8 to 10.
8 to 10?
Somewhere around
by
there.
yourself? In a house full of
I
demons?
don't.
Well, I mean,
It's terrifying.
yeah, I mean,
What kind of
you have to
parents
think,
do you-
this is like early 90s, like rural South Carolina, right? I mean, it's not like we're getting, there's no like crackheads running around or anything.
No,
like,
that would be better.
Yeah, probably would. In
I'd
retrospect,
rather- crackheads,
take a
you can
crackhead
touch 'em,
over,
and they're like,
ghost/demon spirit, which I guess we're going to touch on. Are there ghosts? Are they all demons?
a guy in the comments said they were all demons.
It's true.
I tend to agree with him.
And if he said it, and you said it,
Yeah.
and we don't want to question anything,
Well, did you say that too?
What's
That they're all demons?
I didn't. I don't know if I said anything on IG, but I would agree with that guy that like
I don't know.
I don't.
There's one story in the Bible about a ghost. 1 Samuel. Hold on, let me pull it up.
go for it.
do it.
Pull it up while you guys are talking. Actually, I already have it pulled up.
While we're talking, I guess we got to talk.
Man, as a kid, oof. 'Cause let me tell you, like, as a grown up, I don't do scary movies.
I know you don't. That's why I always try to send you like freaky
You watch The
reels like at
Exorcist?
10 p.m.
Yeah, and I don't watch them.
And when I say freaky, I don't mean like that type of Instagram freaky. But
It can be just like outside camera with like something that goes by. I'm like,
Yeah, I don't.
freaking out.
and I think another thing to point out is Jason is avid churchgoer, went to Bible college, used to work at a church. Mike's pretty devout Catholic. I grew up Christian. Guess I have like Christian beliefs for the most part, not super practicing. It's probably important to note as we talk through this.
I think that is important to know because like it gives context to our perspective on these topics, right? Because
I think so.
Like I mean, my Christian faith kind of shapes how I view a lot of these things. And
Yeah, as it should. I think.
And my view on even aliens, like we talked about aliens last time, has been changing over the last year.
What are your thoughts?
Huh?
I don't want to get off on a sidetrack. Well, hold on. So there's one ghost story in the Bible. 1 Samuel, chapter 28, verses 3 through 25. King Saul consults a medium called the Witch of Endor.
Oh, that's right, King Saul.
What?
Dude,
Right.
Are you sure this is the Bible, not like Lord of the Rings?
Well, I think Endor, that would be Star Wars.
that'd be
sir.
Star Wars nerd.
You knew it too.
So King Saul goes to the Witch of Endor to ask her, I guess, to summon the spirit of Samuel. Okay, which she does. Samuel's like, "What's up, Saul? You're gonna die. You're gonna lose your kingdom." Bah, bah, bah. Anyway, that's the only ghost story. So he goes to a necromancer though, which is like he's not supposed to do that. So God's gonna punish his ass.
Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
kind of like the beginning and the end for Saul.
But-
he did a lot of.
That's the only story.
That's the only story.
We
There's-
And so,
presume, we
there's
presume
also-
God let Samuel,
There's a zombie story.
brother.
Is that too
That
uncouth?
is
Is that uncouth for you?
And, yes.
Okay, my apologies.
You were in the wrong crowd. I have a 87-inch picture of Jesus right there.
Oh, is that Jesus?
Yeah.
Jesus had
It's a
drip
high
like
priest.
that? With, like,
It's Eastern Orthodox iconography, so it looks silly.
okay.
That's why we like it.
so here's my view on ghosts.
Yeah.
Ghosts, I would say, are actually demons
I agree.
pretending to be that person.
Yeah, and I know that's your take on it too.
I think it's better to
and
just
I don't,
play that game anyway. Grandma's not trying to come back and visit.
Yeah,
No.
I don't necessarily agree that like I died here and my spirit is trapped for
No, you-
whatever reason, trapped or like unfinished business or whatever the common kind of
Yeah.
tropes are. I don't think I believe that. Again, going back to I saw whatever it was that I saw. I don't know what it was, but didn't hurt me, thankfully.
Sorry.
That was me.
Sorry, I was like,
that was
oh,
not a
yeah.
ghost. That was not a demon.
Spiritual
That was me.
attack. But you were...
I would say I would. If I were a betting man, I would bet that there are aliens of some sort before there were ghosts.
there's...
I think I'd bet that with you, and then you have the conversation. What are aliens?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, there's
Yeah,
nothing-
and we talked about
there
that.
could totally be aliens. That doesn't really.
We
change
talked about
anything.
that too, like in the last podcast. Like there's theory that aliens aren't necessarily just some creature from another planet, dimension, whatever. Like are aliens some sort of demonic creature as well?
I listened to a podcast recently, and the guy that was talking, it was like the topic was, are aliens demons? And this guy's, I guess, viewpoint is no, they're not, but there's something else. He did, he doesn't think they're demons, but he does think they're like interdimensional kind of spiritual realm type beings that have been around forever.
Like tied to like Christianity in some sense, or
No, I mean, the guy that was talking was a Christian, but like, he was talking about like the aliens, the grays, the tall grays, the short grays. Like he had like names for these things.
What about the Nordics?
the Nordics? I don't know.
what about the bird people?
The bird people?
Yeah.
I don't know,
Well,
but
so what does
I
that
don't
mean
know.
for Christianity if they're not necessarily Christian? So if God created us and
Yep.
He did not create these things, then
Well, it wouldn't he created everything.
So
your stance would be that He did create some other thing,
Yeah, I mean,
like
what are
another,
these
like a
things?
side project.
Side hustle.
So, there's
Maybe I don't know.
I mean, yeah, maybe.
It doesn't
I
change
went-
anything.
Like I went to Bible college and we
Sure.
never had these conversations. Like
Right.
the conversations were,
Well, it messes with people's faith.
it
right?
does. It messes with
Because
people's
like I
faith.
take Genesis literally. God
But
would have
like-
mentioned aliens.
But in Genesis, it talks about like the sons of God, and it talks about
Sure.
all these different things. So like, some scholars believe that like God did create a different realm of beings. So like, angels is like a classification of these beings, and they're not, someone with like a being with a sword and wings. Like they could be different. Then there were the Nephilims that were on the earth. And
Yeah, I mean, and that was going to
So-
be my question: is could these aliens be? And we talked before about how many was it how many fallen angels there were? Is that what we talked about?
Oh, I don't know.
And then
Talk
like,
about
like are demons fallen angels? Are they the unbodied spirits of the Nephilims, or is it a combination of both? Like, I know the traditional like when I say Christian view, that's Catholic and Protestant view is that demons are the fallen angels.
Fallen angels.
And but some people believe that in addition to that, the Nephilims talked about and Genesis that reproduced with human women, it's the disembodied spirits that of those that don't have anywhere to go. I'm like, and honestly, like, I don't know what the answer is.
Remind me again what exactly a Nephilim is.
That's a great question, sir. Good luck trying to find a right answer on that one.
Okay.
There's, man, it's like giants were Nephilims.
Yeah, I mean that's when I think when I think of the term like giant is what comes to
Yeah.
mind. But isn't there some other thing like they're are they a hybrid of a human and angel
Originally,
or
but I don't see how. Right, an angel has no gender. It's not it's not a corporeal being.
Right. It's something. It's something.
Oh
else.
yeah, and then if you think about
Whatever one. So,
what right like the biblically accurate angel when they're like the weird like
you think a
cursed
chick's
Furby
gonna get
looking
down with that
thing.
wheel thing with the eyes.
Yeah.
But even then,
Be not
like,
afraid.
Be not afraid, my brother. I'm terrified.
This is the scariest day of my life.
But like even in the Bible, like sometimes angels look like men.
Oh,
They look like humans, and so
like it's written that way. It
yeah.
says
So
they have that. Okay.
in the story of Lot living in Sodom and Gomorrah, the angels came and were like hanging out with them, and like the men of Sodom wanted these
The gays, right?
huh?
The gays.
100%.
Okay.
Like they wanted these men, like give us these
who are
men.
these
so we
hot
could-
dudes you brought here a lot.
yeah. So
Let's
like,
get down.
these dudes wanted to bang these,
P. Diddy party.
angels, and so these angels were like attractive men. And
Gay.
well, I mean, there's a reason it's called sodomy because it's from Sodom.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what that? No, I'm kidding.
But anyway, so like angels and demons can take like different shapes, forms, looks, or whatever. But and I've even heard if you go deep in the rabbit hole, Greek mythology, like minotaurs and Zeus, and then like Hercules, like all these different things from Greek mythology were actually like Nephilim or Nephilim offspring, and like the giants and Cyclops and stuff like that. That's just, but it's all speculation. Like there's nothing really firm to back all that up. It's just people having fun with it.
That is Book of Enoch stuff. I looked into it afterwards too because I know I talked about it with you.
Have you
And
read,
I actually went back to the church fathers, and some of them were talking about that same thing.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, the Book of Enoch must have been part of the canon for a while before they were like, get rid of this thing. So in the early church, like first century, they were talking about Nephilim,
yeah.
like demons coming from the fallen, from the souls of Nephilim.
Yeah.
It is right out of Enoch, but that's not part of the canon.
No.
But it may have been part of the canon for a while.
At some point. Interesting.
At some
Yeah.
point. I had no idea. I've never heard anybody say, but I kind of stumbled upon it. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
What's funny is like I've listened to a couple different podcasts, and I hear the Book of Enoch come up a lot lately.
It's
And
just weird.
it's super weird. I haven't read. Have you ever read any of it?
No. Like
Part of me-
the cliff notes, like, because I think he thinks he was the Messiah too.
Yeah,
He's
like-
not to be trusted.
Part of me wants to read it, and part of me is like, I don't know, but
There's a lot of other cool things to read.
yeah, like Gilgamesh and stuff like that.
Oh, no. I mean, like the
dude from
Proto-Evangelium of
Smurfs?
James. That's a cool one. You probably would hate it, though.
What's that?
The Proto-Evangelium of James. So it's just a history on the Holy Family, basically. So Joseph and Mary, mostly Mary from her.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say Immaculate Conception, Catholic here.
Yeah.
But her growing up and what her life was like growing up, and like it talks more about Joseph and stuff like that.
Interesting.
And it was from James. I don't know which James. I don't know if it was the James. I've never read it, but
Yeah.
it's on my list of things to check out. So again, we're not sola scriptura, I guess. We'll take weird stuff occasionally, but I'll get it to you.
Yeah. I have
Anyway,
another
sorry,
kind
Matt.
of small story. It's something that happened to a friend of mine who's a pastor. Talk about demons and the demonic.
Yeah.
The west side of Colorado Springs and Manitou are like known for a lot of like witchcraft and witchcraft
Oh, yeah,
covens and
dude.
stuff like that,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
big time. So the church I worked at on the west side, we would often find like trinkets.
Like Blair Witch trinkets.
Yeah.
I
I've
hate
never
that
seen Blair
stuff.
Witch
I don't-
Project.
Well, I'm just saying.
But
It's
like-
little
What do you mean by
things
trinket?
made out of sticks,
Like-
and twigs, and stuff.
Most of like I was never the one to find them. Like most of the time when they were found, they were just thrown away. But like Dr. E, our pastor, he found a I want to say it was like a goat skull that had like it was like painted and like decorated,
Right.
and so it was left. It was left on the doorstep of the church.
Yeah.
And so he was getting ready to go on like a ministry or missionary trip overseas to like work in these refugee camps. I want to say in like the Greece area, but where he was going is not really important to the story. But anyway, he's going into the church and he sees this goat skull, and so he picks it up and throws it in the trash, not thinking much of it. But like after he contacted that thing, he got sick. Like really sick. He was getting like fever blisters and stuff, and he's never been prone. He said he's never been prone to that. Like he was
I
getting
hate to be prone to fever blisters. It's
Getting-
absolutely terrible.
getting really sick, and so like low energy, just like man, it was like a
Dude, that's like so. Like in the layers of possession.
Yeah.
You know, okay. That's oppression.
oppression. That's the word I would use too. Oppression. Like these items get cursed, and like that can stick to you.
Yeah.
And so like a bunch of us prayed for him, and like we prayed for him for a while, and like
Good.
cleared up.
Good guys.
Started feeling better.
Shoot.
So, but yeah, like we would find like trinkets hidden on the property, on window sills and stuff like that,
Yeah.
frequently over there on the west side.
I believe it. It's a weird area over there.
It's a very weird area.
Yeah. There's a lot of kooks over there for sure.
There are.
I mean, you had to meet a ton of bizarre people in your ministry over there with the homeless.
Yeah, the homeless people are they're an interesting group.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them are crazy. Some of them are like God, that's one time me and Katie, we went and did like on Thanksgiving, we went to like, did the Goodwill. We were like feeding people and stuff. And like this guy goes to sit down at the piano. I was like, guarantee it, Katie, this guy can play the shit out of this piano. It's like Chopin walked in. It was like, but the guy's like crazy.
Bro, we had
But
a
it's
couple of
wild.
those guys come
Yeah.
through.
Like, what did you do before you lost it?
Yeah.
I was a world-renowned, whatever, probably. Super sad, man.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a couple dudes sit down at the piano and just jam it out and like
We got to get back on demons. I'm sorry, but Matt's ADD. You got to get you medicated. Can you imagine how great you would
that's
be?
what
How
that is.
effective you would be?
The Zen is medication.
Is it? I can't believe you use that thing. It's disgusting.
I don't frequently.
No.
Do you reuse it when you do that?
No.
Oh.
Okay. So
What do you got?
I got one. I got a few. It's weird, dude. Like
Yeah, I think you told me. You told me
tell you?
one.
What did I say?
I was giving you shit for not remembering, but I don't super remember your story.
Okay.
So your stepdad or mom's boyfriend, like he was around, and maybe like when he moved in, stuff started happening. Maybe something about the bed. Was the bed shaking?
No, that would be right out of a movie, though. No, it wasn't that great. It was worse, probably.
Okay.
I mean, you shake the bed. It's like that's scary, but it's like that's just just shenanigans, really. Devil shenanigans. Chicanery. Yeah.
Demon tomfoolery.
Yeah. It's not that. It's frustrating. It's scary, but it's not. I don't think that'd be the worst.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay, so I don't know. Starting out as a small child, I feel like we've had things happen, but as a kid, you're kind of you don't know if you're like imagining things or whatever. Like you were adult in college, so I believe you. But as a kid, you have like a seriously like a profound imagination, right? So you don't really know what's real and what's not real. However, as a kid, we lived in this house. It was a couple 100-year-old house. All the houses up in the Northeast are old as shit. God knows what happened in those homes at any given time. So if there are ghosts or bad energy or whatever, it's going to be in one of those spots. But I remember as a kid, like, I think the first time that we ever had, like, there was stuff that would happen in that house. Never really saw anything, but you'd hear stuff. But like I remember, like it for like a period of time. As a small kid, like I had this bed that would like it was like a wooden bed, but it had the like dowels in between, like the headboard. You know what I'm talking about? Those things would like move in the middle of the night.
Okay, yeah, moving. I said shaking, but
Okay,
moving bed. Okay.
That's like the lowest end stuff, I think. But that stuff was scary as a kid. But I don't think we ever saw anything. But as I got older, and the boyfriend, my mother's husband now, right? So they lived in a home up in New York State. It's out in the woods. It was up in the hill, right? It was like a big piece of property. It's spooky as shit out there. And when I stayed there, like I didn't stay there very much, but when I had to stay there, like coming home from the military or whatever, I had to stay somewhere on Christmas or whatever. Fucking terrifying. At night, there wasn't a night that I was in that house where some weird shit didn't happen while I was sleeping or trying to sleep. Like in, like the bedroom that I was in, like you would always hear stuff in the walls and ceiling, like scratching and stuff, and it could be rats, whatever, dude. It doesn't explain the like disembodied voice that's in your ear, like whispers.
Bro, I would not stay in that house.
Where am I going to go?
Hotel? I don't.
I'm a young airman. I barely had any money, right? But there was it ends horribly later. But like every night would be that kind of disembodied voice, and it's like if you got up, it's still right there. So it's like you don't know if it comes from within your head or if it's inside or outside. It's absolutely awful. But I think my mother's husband now, was the target of these, whatever this was, right? Like, I think, like, the way he grew up, I can only presume, but there's a lot of evil in the family, not like witches and shit, just like straight fucking evil families. You know these families. But, I don't know, something got it. I think, like, something got attached to him, but, like, he was, like, a really nice guy, but, like, something would happen. It was just he would fucking flip, dude, like and turn into like the most scary, violent human being in the world.
Like schizophrenic type flip.
No, I know because I think it was still him, but no, more so, just like, hey, we're having a good time. Now we're not having a good time, but like just like you could feel the room like shift, you know, like you get around those people, you're like, oh God, you know, you
Yeah.
feel like just that oppressive kind of energy or whatever, but like of like he would tell stories about like if he laid. Like he'd have to lay a certain way on the couch. If he laid his head on the other side, he'd hear like the whispering, and people would be talking to him and stuff. Like turn around the other way, and he'd be fine. And just lots of stuff. But like I experienced that in that house. So I'm in the military. I'm back doing my job or whatever. My mom calls me frantically. She's like, the house burned down. But then she tells me the story about like what happened that night before the house burned down. They were like, they had a little bar in the basement. They would go down there and like whatever, and like watch TV and like have a few drinks or whatever. But she said that this black like cloud came down through like the floor and like and kind of floated through, and like they both saw it. Like she can't tell the story without bawling. It's so terrifying to her. But and then it kind of and it went out, and they went to bed later, I'm sure.
I would not have been able to go to
I'm with
bed.
you.
Like,
But this is the first time that any of us have dealt with shit, so you just kind of get used to it, right? But I mean, seeing something I think was new. Seeing that thing was new, whatever that was. And then that night, the house burned down. Whew. So then they moved out, and they haven't had any problems since. So I don't know.
what was ever the cause of the fire?
Allegedly, it's like loose wires or something. But I mean, it happened that same night. It could be coincidence. You don't usually see demons, and then your house burns down.
I mean, I don't think it's a
Presuming.
coincidence. I'm just curious.
So,
Like,
were they in the house when it happened?
When it burned down? Yeah.
So they like woke up.
Oh yeah, they had
Ooh,
to get
smoke.
yes, they had to run out.
ooh,
Yeah.
ooh.
Oof. That place was terrifying, bro. Like at night, like at night, just like hyper aware. That hyper aware. Like when you're hyper aware, you're gonna everything that's even not there. You're like, I notice it.
So like, have they had issues since?
No.
So do you think the thing was
No, they
attached
moved to
the
Florida. And
house,
there's no ghosts or
or
something down there. There's no demons in Florida. I don't know. You get out of that
they
area.
don't like
up there.
the warm weather?
Yeah, demons hate warm weather. Reminds them of hell, I guess.
No, I'm sure there's plenty of demons in the.
I'm
the
sure,
Caribbean.
but they haven't had any issues since. And you don't know. Like, you don't know if it's attached to this house. You don't know if it's attached to this person.
So
Like,
I've
I feel
heard
like I've
of.
lived in all my houses growing up are haunted in some way.
So I've heard of this like thought that like there are places, like in the Christian world, I've heard them referred to as thin spaces, spaces where you can go where it's like
The veil is thin.
The veil, that's a perfect way to say it. The veil between the spiritual and the physical is very thin. So it's places that people have gone for a long time to pray and be closer to God and like receive, you know, like blessing or receive something from God. But also like I wonder if there's also a negative version of that where there's areas where like the veil between
Sure.
the physical and the demonic is really thin, and so like there are places that like things attach to, because you like if you watch
Yeah, like things get infested. Like
Huh?
homes, buildings,
and
items.
you know, but like ancient like ritual and burial sites or whatever, like things like
Those things, you would
the-
think that they would have a lot of attachment.
right, but also like is that why ancient people chose those areas, because those areas were already thin? I don't know.
We talked about that before too, like in that last conversation we had about like, you know, if they're demons, not ghosts, you know, why are there so many? You have these places where there's, you know, higher reportings of, you know, like say like Gettysburg battlefield, right?
Yeah.
So like, is that something to do with ghosts, or is that because a lot of like trauma happened there that
I think the trauma
it brings
to the
like a certain energy or whatever?
I think the
and-
trauma to the land is a good way, you know.
Well, yeah, why not? I mean, it'd be. I think you could spin it any way you want.
Yeah.
right? You really could. I mean, if you want it to be ghosts, it's like it's ghosts. If you want it to be demons, well, like this is this place where we're killing brothers. There's no more evil thing in the world than
Yeah.
murder. You know, so like these things get attached to these spaces. I don't know. It's hard to say, man.
Yeah.
I don't know how any of this stuff works.
I don't either.
I know it's weird.
It's interesting,
It's absolutely interesting.
but
Hey, if you're still listening, drop a comment on tonight's Instagram post. Tell us about your experience. You seen a ghost or demon? Are they real? Let us know.
I have a story where I'm pretty sure we've been
Yeah.
talking about demons. I'm going to talk about
Okay, sure.
Angel a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't see anything, but I am certain that God or an angel saved my life one night driving down the highway.
Okay.
So we have a 2011 Toyota Sienna minivan.
Oh yeah. Was it the same one that you still have?
Yeah, it's the same one I still have. We bought this minivan in January of 2011.
Minivan seen some things.
And so we've had this minivan for now 14 years. We've put 180,000 miles on it. I had this minivan a long time. A lot of road trips. This would have been 2015. We went on a camping trip. This is when I still lived in Texas. We went on a camping trip to Colorado, me and some guys. We were backpacking and summiting 14ers. And so we left Salida, Colorado at like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And we drove to Dallas. And so all the guys that went on the trip were from the Dallas area, except for me. I was from the Houston area. I was driving the minivan. We stopped in the Dallas area, dropped everybody off. I had dinner with my sister and brother-in-law. And I was like, man, I'd been driving since 5 a.m. Colorado time. I was like, oh, I feel pretty good. I'm just going to go ahead and finish the trip home because I was like, I'll be fine. And so I left my sister's house in the Fort Worth area, I don't know, probably 8 o'clock, which would mean I would be getting home probably 1 a.m. or whatever, which isn't normally that big of a deal, but I had also been driving for 12 hours previously. So I was like, it caught up to me eventually. So anyway, a little south of College Station, Texas, I'm heading back towards Houston. The van, like for no reason, the dome lights all turn on and the van starts dinging at me like a door's open. Bing, 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 bing. And I'm like, I'm looking around. I'm trying to turn things off. None of my doors are open. I'm like, kind of like, oh, I've got to drive, whatever. And so like this happened right before a curve in the highway. And like, I still remember where it's at. Like the highway kind of curves and goes up. And like, if you would have gone straight, you would go
Dead Man's Bluff.
yeah, kind of that situation. But so like, but I'm like, man, what is going on? And then like, oh, I'll keep driving, and then it just turns off on its own. Like, and then I realized, like, wait a minute, the van lights turning on and being at me woke me up from being asleep.
You were sleeping?
I was asleep at the wheel, and the van woke me up
Oh my God.
right before a curve in the road.
That's so he could be on our podcast.
And let me
Thanks,
tell you,
Angel.
like
Thanks,
I said, we've had this van for 14 years.
I wouldn't want to get rid of
put
it.
190,000 miles in that, 180,000 miles in the van, whatever it has on it. And it's only done that once, that one time.
That is crazy.
So
That's a cool story.
That just reminded me of the other story that I told you about.
Nice. What's
you,
up?
you remember the...
Back to demons.
Yeah.
That's a nice story.
it's,
That's
I mean,
a nice story.
it is good. That, I mean, that saved my life that night.
So, back in the day, probably around the time I was like 19, 20, somewhere around there. So, like the group of friends I hung out with, there was like this person in the friend group. Won't name names to protect the innocent.
All right.
There's this girl, right? And I don't remember. I remember we were at like this kind of just like the house party, whatever, hanging out. And
I'm sorry, when was this again? Like, you were a teenager?
yeah, I was. This is probably like 2005, 2006.
Before you went in the military?
Yeah. Yep. So, however, it came up in conversation. I remember she had mentioned that like weird things happened to her, and she's like, I don't think she said medium per se, but she's like, oh, like I have this like weird like ability, or if it's like not necessarily psychic, but some sort of connection, right, to like supernatural, ghostly, demony, whatever. And so a popular thing for teenagers to do in my hometown was to go to like outskirts of town. There was this old church, and
Cult, brother.
what'd you say?
Nothing.
You said cult?
I said the occult.
Oh, the occult.
Occult.
There's this church that's like on the outskirts of town that like teenagers used to go to.
And do-
Definitely nothing weird about this spot, right?
That's a church? That
Yeah.
looks like
Let
a
me see.
mausoleum.
Yeah.
Is that a
It
mausoleum?
looks like a coliseum, or it looks like a.
So this
You sure,
church.
that's, you sure that's a church?
Yes.
A place where dead people are buried?
Yes.
Okay. It's pretty dope looking.
me
Where did
pull-
you grow up?
Athens.
South
Athens,
Carolina.
Greece.
South Carolina.
That's what it looks like.
Church was formed by Scots-Irish settlers in 1759.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Scotch Irish, huh?
Yeah.
The Skyrish.
So at any rate, like, so this present church, the one you said looks like a mausoleum, original church was on the site. This building itself, what says it was constructed in, let's see,
That thing's dope looking. Is it? I'm having a hard time that wasn't AI.
1846.
Okay.
Yeah. So what you're looking at there,
That's a church?
yeah, what you're looking at there was built in 1846.
It looks like a Mormon temple or something.
You know what it looks like?
One of the earliest brick churches in South Carolina. What does it look like?
I don't know. I don't know. Let me see it again.
Oh, dude, this is super interesting. Actually, as I'm reading this thing,
Or a Freemason's temple.
so
Looks like Freemasons.
yeah, I mean,
That's
it
fucking
definitely
Protestants,
could
bro.
have some attachments.
Presbyterian.
Well, this is kind of funny because, like, all right, so
They are.
this actually ties into my
Scotch
story.
Irish
I didn't even
Presbyterians.
know this about the place, but
Okay.
So one of there was all the normal like small town like teenage stories like, oh, if you do this and you fart and turn backwards, you'll see a ghost.
Every time.
All those different
Ghosts
different
love
stories. Everybody knows that. That's just a fact. Look it up. Read a book. All right. So I'm going to read this little portion, and then I'm going to
Please.
tell you what I saw because that kind of makes things freakier.
Okay.
Prior to emancipation, slaves sat in the slave gallery, segregated from white worshippers below. The slave gallery above the sanctuary is now used as a balcony for all members. Blah 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 blah. So that's kind of that's just interesting. God, this thing was obviously been around 1700s. This building, this brick
Yeah.
building, was built in 1846. So obviously
I'll throw it up on the podcast. Send me a link.
Okay, yeah.
People know what we're looking
This
at.
this was built, prior to the end of slavery. God. Okay. So there's like the cemetery on the church. If you go to the back of it, if I remember right, you actually have to like kind of like jump the freaking wrought iron fence.
Nice.
And there's an older cemetery behind it. I guess like
Pet cemetery?
the original, not a pet cemetery.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go down that road.
I wish I could remember any quotes from that movie. So stupid.
That's it.
I've never seen it.
You don't want to go down that road.
You don't want to go down that road.
So again, we have this girl with us that says she's like, has some sort of like connection,
Like, bitch, you got to go.
whatever.
I'm trying to the occult in my
So
car.
I remember we had, again, this is like 2005-ish, somewhere in there. So like digital cameras first came out. I don't remember if this camera even had like a screen on the back that showed you whatever. If it did, it was tiny, grainy. But I remember we had this digital camera, and like we're going around, and she's like, "Here, take a picture here." And there's like orbs in the photos and stuff. Which orbs, that whole thing, you can
Could be like fuzz.
fuzz, insect, whatever. Bro, one of the in the OG cemetery. She told us at one point, she's like, look at that.
Yeah. I'm with you. I usually cry when I tell my story.
She's like, take a picture here. and we didn't see it until we got like back home and like SD card in the computer. There's a fucking noose like in a tree in this picture that we did not see or remember seeing like in person. So that's why like reading this description thing that's kind of wild. But the other story, so like your light thing made me
Oh, you
remember.
never read that description before?
No,
Okay, well there you go.
no. I mean, I guess it makes sense if it's been around since 1700s. Like
Yeah.
it makes sense, but
Yeah, probably a lot of people met their end.
yeah.
Nothing more Christian than killing people.
So crusades. Anyone?
We could have a crusade one.
We'll do a
know
crusade one.
lot.
But okay, so this other thing. So same girl and her boyfriend, friend of mine, and myself. Like we're.
Is he still alive? Is he doing okay?
I don't know. I don't
Bet
know.
you not.
I haven't heard from either of these people since I left home for the military almost 18 years ago.
Good for you.
So who knows? But there's the state forest that we kind of like, a lot of teenagers go to. It's like, oh, it's Friday, so we're gonna go right around the state forest, like drinking beer, right? Have a little couple road sodas. So it's all dirt roads, right? So we're driving around, right? And there's other shit in this place too. Like, there's I guess famous, maybe not. Maybe if you're like into serial killer lore, if you're like a true crime person, there's a pretty notorious like serial killer from my hometown that allegedly.
What's his name?
I don't know. Donald Pee Wee Gaskins, nickname because he's a very small, short person. Pee Wee, yeah.
Probably hated being called that.
We should do like a serial killer podcast.
Okay, put it down.
Yeah. It would be super original. We'd be like the only people to do a serial killer true crime podcast. But at any rate, yeah, like pretty messed up. Like the shit. I mean, he didn't just like, I killed a guy and put him in my basement. Like he would do pretty like grotesque stuff with the
Like lamps, make
people and
lamps out of
bodies.
Like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre
like-
guy making suits out of skins.
I don't want to go. If we're gonna do something on that, we'll talk about that later. I won't go too far down the rabbit hole, but
Okay.
I started to say allegedly, but I think it's actually a known fact that he like hid bodies. Like he admitted to hiding bodies out in this
Oh.
national state or state forest, whatever it was. The place was weird, right? I remember being every time I went out there, it felt creepy. Almost like just uneasy feeling, like you're being watched or just hair on the back of the neck, stand up kind of thing. It was kind of cool to go out there, but at the same time, like I didn't really like going out there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're riding around, and this guy, he starts telling me the story about how there's, I guess this like at one point in time it was like a governor's mansion or still was or something. Also allegedly, if you ever seen the movie The Color Purple,
Oh, yeah,
with
I've seen that
like
thing.
that plantation house, like
Okay.
that was the house.
wow.
Yeah, that was from the movie, or they used the house in the movie.
I almost asked that movie with Prince, but that's Purple Rain.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, talking the Oprah movie. I don't know, never seen it, but
Little pink
but
Corvette.
they're telling me about this house and like something weird about how like it was like a governor's house or mansion of some sorts or some shit like that. Some like politician from South Carolina, and so I guess like he had like a security detail of some sort that was like posted up outside. Some story about like weird things happening, and there's like claw marks at the door on the door, like wooden door. Blah blah blah. At any rate, so I'm not like fully paying attention to the story. I don't really care. It's whatever. But so they're like, oh, yeah, we're coming up on it now. Here's the house. As we start kind of getting near this house, the truck starts acting weird. Now, and it's not like, yeah, it's 2005 and we're driving like a 1972 like square body Chevy kind of thing. Like that, I can kind of explain that, right? But this truck was like a late 90s. If you're a truck guy, 2005. Like, I mean, it was like the current gen like pickup, right? So I mean, it's new truck. At any rate, so we're driving by this thing, getting close to it, and the lights like start to dim. Like headlights start to go dim.
The radio so like
Interior lights go dim. Radio dies. Radio stops. It cuts off, and the truck's like, blah, 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 like it's about to like die, right? And I'm like, for the love of God, like please don't let this truck break down in front of this like freaky house, right? And then we're kind of driving. We drive past it, like truck, and then we get, several hundred feet, yards, whatever, past the house, and like radio comes back on, starts playing, lights go back to full brightness, like
Was it like a creepy song from the
back
50s,
to normal.
though?
I don't think so. But yeah, it's weird, right? So we were
Yeah.
just like kind of silent. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like what was that kind of very weird. At any rate, so
Freaky-
like we
the cult girl was
we
with you,
we
right?
keep we
Always.
keep driving around. We're just kind of riding, hanging out again, just hanging out, drinking beer, being teenagers, and I kind of forgot about it really at this point. We topic shifted, blah 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 blah. And then we realized like maybe somebody said something that like we apparently like looped around and like we're coming back up on this house.
Why?
I mean, just by accident, or I don't think it was intentional. We're
Just out driving
just
around.
randomly driving, talking, hanging out. At any rate, long story short, like we get in front of this house again, and like the same shit happens again.
In the same spot.
Yeah, I mean, in front of the house, yeah. Like as you're kind of in that general vicinity in front of the house on the road.
I would never drive
Like
over there ever
lights
again.
go dim, radio shuts off, truck's acting like it's about to die and stall out, and we get past it and back to normal. Keep going, and then we went home at that point. Yeah, yeah, super weird. We should go. Let's do a field trip.
No.
Okay. South Carolina's creepy, bro.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think. I mean, original colony, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah,
a
for
lot of shit happened there. Kind of,
Lot of
start
stuff.
of the Civil War.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a lot of stuff
Even
there.
That whole
before
Eastern
the
Seaboard.
Civil War, like you talk about colonizing. I'm sure there was conflict between early European settlers and the Native Americans. So, like, that land has seen some stuff.
Yeah.
That's like a lot of people like where I'm from. Like when they see like ghosts or spirits, always Native American stuff. Like a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. But demons.
Did your towns
Town to
have
town.
any what do you call them? Legends or stuff that probably wasn't true, or like the
There
story.
was the Witch of Wilka Hollow.
Yeah. Well,
know.
God, tons.
Yeah, it's scary as his town. It sounds like it's like cursed.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's we could do another like cryptid one.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
could tell you about the lizard man of
Sumter County.
or swamp or something like that. Yeah, it's apparently something. If we do decide to go down that rabbit hole, we can do that. But yeah, there's like that whole story. There's like some sighting, like late '80s, early '90s, allegedly popped back up years later, like early 2000s or something. But
Right before something bad happens.
yeah, man, there's
like
that,
Mothman.
and then
My town had a spot where, as legend goes, that there was a group of kids, like group of teenagers, were crossing railroad tracks and their car died. Train hits the car
every time.
every
yeah.
time.
I
they
think
all
like every
died.
town has that
And
story.
then
Our
like
town
you
has
put like baby powder on your car.
Oh yeah, and you see the
And, like,
handprints.
you park, you see the handprint. My town had one of those spots.
Did you ever do it?
Huh? No.
God no. What crazy? What if you saw handprints? It's
There was
over.
a lot of other like silly stuff too. Like so in that state forest I was talking about, kind of dumb stuff, right? Like I remember like one of the first times going out there. There's the story of we're derailing from demons, by the way.
Oh, that's fine. It's whatever.
There was this
That's what we're here for. The
mad
derail.
scientist that lived in the woods, and he would capture kids, and he would do experiments and like cut their legs off and sew them on backwards, so they walked like,
like-
backwards and they could jump high and stuff.
Human
That's
centipede
super
sort
weird.
of-
There's a lot of stuff about that church I was telling you about. Like, there's a lot of like random, kind of I joked about the whole like, oh, if you do this, then you'll see this kind of thing. There are a few like legends about that. Like, so on the property, there's like a.
How is this church not being used?
How is it not being used?
Was it being still?
It is. It's still used.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
What were you doing? They would just let you. Was this holy ground? It sounds just terribly cursed. Kind of, sort of. Presbyterian, bro.
But there was like a shack, smaller building. I guess like a groundskeeper of some sort lived there. I think you guys were talking about that recently, right? Like somebody used to, like maybe the pastor lived on. Maybe it was the pastor's
parsonage?
house. Yeah,
Called
the
it the
parsonage.
parsonage.
It could have been this. Back in the day. I mean, church is super old. It would actually make a lot of sense too, because I mean, this place even today. I mean, in the 2000s, like there's. To get to this place, like you go out of town, right, and you drive like 20 miles, like it's middle of nowhere. I mean, there's a few little like little spots of like a cluster of houses or something, but for the most part, this place is like middle of nowhere. So it would kind of make sense if that was the case. The whole parsonage thing, where the
I mean, it was common
pastor,
for a long time.
priests
for the,
live.
The pastor or priest to live on the grounds.
Yeah, but then like the story was like if you drove around this thing like 3 times and then left, so also related to slavery and not so good. Well, I guess not slavery, but the legend was like the KKK like was chasing down this like black family, and then they ran. Like a dog ran in front of the road, and then the car swerved, and they all died or something like that. So allegedly, if you drive around this little house like 3 times and then leave, like you'll see this dog run out in front of you or something weird. We tried it; it didn't work.
Oh, surprised.
Yeah.
It seemed like everything you guys did worked.
Yeah,
You should have brought that occult chick with you.
damn,
That was
might
what
have
you
seen
were
the
missing.
ghost dog then.
Oh, 100%.
I keep looking out this window. By the way, I'm all freaked out.
I'm waiting for the elf on the shelf to like stand up and jump on Mike's
Launch
head.
on your head.
Why do you have an elf on the shelf?
I don't know. It's just one of those things you collect over the years.
Do you move it?
No, it stays right there.
It's right there.
If that thing moves, we're moving.
Yeah, it's a little silly legends like that. Well, you said you had the what? The witch of the.
Oh, the Witch of Wilkin Hollow.
Waka-cha-cha?
Yeah, it's not real.
Oh. Well, of course not. But
I've never even heard. I think it was just something my stepdad would tell me.
no,
Like, don't go down Wilkin Hollow at night.
like the one that heard the voices in his ears. That stepdad.
Yeah.
Maybe
to be trusted.
Maybe it was what we realized.
Maybe. I wasn't out looking for stuff. I was terrified of that kind of stuff
Yeah.
as a kid. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, you guys are freaking me out with this window. What are we doing?
I just keep looking at it, waiting for something to walk past.
Who's it going to be? Is it gonna be my old-ass neighbor? No,
Hey.
no clothes on.
I mean, this is
Roger got
Colorado.
out again.
Hippie out there tripping on mushrooms and
So I guess to go back to like the
Probably
whole like
cold.
demon thing. Like
Yeah.
it's what we think. There's demons. How many demons are there?
How many demons are there?
Yeah. I feel
There's a demon for every person at least that's ever walked on the planet.
what?
Yeah. That's
How?
what they say. Well, I think because like there's just a lot. There's a lot. So, okay, so consider this. Guardian angels. You've heard of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has a guardian angel, right? This is
it's just what
there's
people say.
Some
Yeah.
scriptural, but that's the interpretation. Everybody has a guardian angel. Everybody that's ever lived had a guardian angel. I'd say. I don't know if they recycle. If like, oh, now you're with Steve.
I mean,
Like somebody dies
It
and
makes
then you get
sense,
reassigned.
like, you know,
But I
they
think
don't just
like
retire.
exorcists will say that there's as many demons as there ever have been people.
I'm sure. And like,
They're busy.
yeah, and because when the Bible talks about the angels falling, didn't it say like it's like a third of them, right?
Yeah, a third.
It's
So it's a revelation. So a third of the stars fall out of the sky. Those are angels.
Yeah.
Because angels are always referred to as stars, or
Right.
falling stars.
Yeah.
or the morning star.
Yeah.
Lucifer. So, yeah. So a third of the stars fall. Like that's where they get that.
So that'd be how many? So in the New Testament, when Jesus encounters like the demon possessed man, like he asks his name.
Oh,
it's
the
like
Legion guy.
Legion for
Yeah.
we are many. So like there could have been
Straight out of The Exorcist too. We should watch that right after.
No.
this. Come on, man.
No.
Bro, I'm
Yeah.
tired.
What better way to go to sleep? Just leave. And like J-Bo falls asleep, we'll just leave him down here.
I don't.
Lights off.
I don't do scary movies.
No, I don't either. I'm with
Yeah,
you.
you wouldn't watch. How do you pronounce this word? Heretic.
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 Heretic. Okay.
Was it? I heard it was good.
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh, okay. I should
Yeah.
watch it.
J-Bo wouldn't go watch Heretic with us.
Nope. I don't do scary movies.
We had snow, unfortunately.
It was okay.
It's okay.
It was all right.
It's okay. Anyway, so you were demons. They're real or something. You were going to go with some sort of question.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious. Like, I mean, is this like a Santa Claus thing? Like, there's one and he's all over the world.
No,
Oh, so okay.
My
there's
understanding
many and
is
they're everywhere all at once.
So do we?
What?
If
Say
we
that
all
again?
have a guardian angel, do we all have a demon?
Oh, I'm sure you have
And
many.
they're just like fighting.
Listen, I don't know. A demon can be anywhere all at once. They're outside of time.
I see. I don't think demons are omnipresent like we would consider God. I think demons.
Well, they're not omnipotent for sure.
not omnipotent, but they're also not omnipresent. So they can't be everywhere at once, but they can be here.
They can be
and then
multiple
later they
places.
can be there. But like I just think there's that many of them.
Let's say I think it doesn't really matter. I think we'd
Yeah.
be splitting hairs.
Yeah, I think yeah.
But yeah, they're here. They're here right now.
And they've-
100% chance.
They've been around forever.
Always listening. Always. So when you go home and masturbate tonight, that was a demon. Was like, you should jerk off.
Is he like watching me?
Yes.
100% he's watching. So is God, though. Just put that in your head.
All right, I was gonna make a joke, but I won't now.
They're both watching.
Yay!
Oh, you. So yeah, I would say absolutely real. I mean, he's seen a demon. I've seen something. I've dealt with something. You've been all kinds of weird shit.
Maybe that was a demon that I saw.
I have been around a like legit demon possessed person.
What was that like?
tell us that story.
Oh dang!
How do you know? You sure they weren't just crazy?
I mean,
You know
could
the
have been.
signs.
So this kid at church camp one summer, like, kind of started freaking out during one of the services, and they were praying for him, and he started acting super weird, started trying to strangle himself. So, but like, and I know people who've been like part of like exorcisms, and so like, but we didn't call it. I don't know if we call it exorcism. We just call it. And maybe we did call it exorcism. I don't know. Like so, like demon possession is like a real thing, and like there's a lot of documentation about people dealing with that. Like I think I told you guys about my buddy that I went to Bible college with before he went to the Air Force. So when I met him, when we were friends, he was several years older than us because he had been like 4 years in the Air Force before he went to Bible college. But before he did that, he was going to school to be a priest, and he did like a year in priest school. I don't know what that seminary. And like they had a class on exorcisms, and they were listening to tape recordings of exorcisms. He's like, that stuff will give you nightmares. Yeah. I'm like, oh.
It's real. I mean, it's for sure real. Like that. That's kind of like, I don't know. Like I think when you see something like you saw, it's terrifying, but it's a grace too, because it's like it's hard to not have faith when you see evil stuff or you experience something evil. Like
Yeah.
it kind of like it's a good reminder of like all this shit's real.
Yeah,
you know?
I was pretty freaked out when I saw that thing, but also it, from my perspective, it's also comforting to know that like, as I prayed, that thing got out.
That's awesome. It's
Yeah.
your space. You know, you have some sort of jurisdiction, I suppose, over it, right? It's your room.
I think, well, I think the jurisdiction comes from our faith in God. Like that's,
Maybe, but for sure. But like think about how like possession. If you listen to it, like I'm so love this stuff so much. I don't know. I'm fascinated with it. But with possession, they're only there because God allows them.
and because you allow them, like you
Sure, that's part of it. But
you did something at some point to open that door.
but
Played with a
they
Ouija
still
board,
can't
spells.
do anything without God's permission to do so. And that's where it gets weird, because you're like, what is the relationship between God and the devil. I'm not saying there's any real relationship other than he uses the devil to like you learn a lesson. You become possessed. What a spiritual gift that can be for you if you ever get out of it, right? You're going to believe. You're going to start going to church. Hopefully,
Yeah.
Most people don't still, which is crazy to me. But that jurisdiction, while you give them jurisdiction through playing with Ouija boards or hanging out with this stupid occult chick in your car all the time, that's fine. You're giving them jurisdiction, but God's the one that allows them to stay. He gives them a timeline usually, because like when you hear exorcists talk about it, like they'll talk about timelines all the time. Like I have to leave at this time. I can only possess this part of the body, or I can only do these things. And
Well, it's like
it irritates them.
in the Bible, in the book of Job, like Satan goes to God and asks permission to torment, right?
But that book of Job thing isn't far off from reality.
I think it's right on reality.
I know,
Like-
and that's what's weird. It's like because that story is a terrible story. Like if you're trying to take the Bible literally, right? Because it's kind of like, oh, they had a barter together to see
Yeah.
who's going to win Job's soul.
Yeah.
Like that seems really mean, but in the end, it really does seem to work. Like
Some people
that.
think Job is like a story and not
Oh, for
literal.
sure.
And most people, a lot of scholars think it's the oldest book chronologically
Oh,
in
is
the
it?
Bible. But like the oldest written. Like it is obviously Genesis goes back, but like Job was written before Genesis was written because Moses
Oh, wow.
wrote Genesis, and Moses was not alive in the very beginning. I mean, he was an old dude, but he wasn't that old.
No.
But but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, like I think I don't know. I think there's a lot of things that we don't know or understand, and maybe we're not supposed to.
I don't think you'll ever understand. I sit around thinking about this a lot. Like, how does prayer work? Like, you get this weird imagery and stuff from like Revelation. Like, there's a lot of weird imagery in there about like prayers looking like incense coming out, and like it's not like somebody sitting there listening maybe to like, oh, I'm Matt. I would really like a new car. It's like it's weird. I mean, I can't even begin to explain it, but picturing it, I'm like, it doesn't work the way you think it does. The
Right.
whole thing is, I don't know, artistic. Weird, I would say. I think about like some imagery and stuff, like where like in Acts, where Peter's sleeping. And he says, "Wake up, Peter, kill, eat." And his sheet is coming down from heaven, and there's angels on all four corners of the sheet, and there's different types of animals that would have been dirty animals before that they couldn't eat, but now they can. But it's just like this weird imagery and stuff. But then you start going to like old churches and stuff and old Renaissance art, and it's all that sort of same imagery and stuff. And then you start trying to compare it to the stuff that you read in like Revelation. You're like, it's all kind of connected imagery. It's all very bizarre stuff, and I wonder how much it is like that. Hopefully, I don't know.
I don't know. That stuff probably made a lot more sense to the original audience than it does to us living in America in
Oh.
2024.
Probably.
But
So,
I'm sleepy.
I know, bud.
you look
Sorry.
sleepy. I was sleepy before we
What
got
do you think?
here.
How long have we been doing this thing?
That cup of
10
coffee.
minutes?
No. 10 minutes? That cup of
can't- I
coffee
can't
barely
tell you,
made a
bud.
dent in my sleepiness.
It doesn't tell me time. It just tells me like seconds. I think
Oh,
it's not even seconds. It's
Maybe
like,
we should start like setting a timer, like putting a timer above the phone.
go look on the phone and see how long it's been going. It's probably stopped recording. That would suck.
yeah. Phone's dead.
I wasn't even done talking about demons yet. I have all this.
Oh, dang. Hour and 26 minutes.
Oh shit! You want to go 3? Can you go 3?
3
We,
hours.
we can do Joe Rogan 3 hours.
Come on, man. No. So anyway, your guy from church camp, did he have supernatural strength?
It took a couple counselors to hold him down,
Okay.
and he's a
We're
kid.
getting there. Did he speak in unknown languages? The only
I was observing from far away, so
was he
I
speaking Latin or anything?
I couldn't hear him.
That'd be
Oh,
dope.
dude, my mom has a story.
Oh shit! See, this is what happens when we hang out and we get
Bro,
the,
so
get the
my-
brains rolling, Matt.
My
Take a nap.
mom
We'll wake you up.
worked at a Christian preschool. She was an admin. She was like the office person.
Okay.
At a Christian preschool daycare. Actually, it was pre-K through 5th grade. It was a Christian school, but she worked in like the younger group, and she was like an admin. They had a kid, like freaking. We're talking about like a 5-year-old that it took 4 or 5 grown women to restrain.
He was just spazzing out.
Yeah, and like speaking stuff that they couldn't understand, and like growling and spitting, like all kinds of stuff like this. And like these teachers are trying to hold him
That's
down.
awesome.
How old is this kid?
He was like 5. He was in the daycare in like the pre-K.
This is why we baptize babies, sir.
And so anyway, at some point, my mom grabbed a toy and she's like, I'm just going to say his name was Jamie. I can't remember the kid's name.
Put that toy down,
She's like, Jamie, I have this toy. You can have this toy if you sit down and be still, like a light switch. Calm down. And just took the toy and played like nothing happened.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah.
Man, why are you around all these possessed people? It's crazy. That's
you
nuts,
say I'm
dude.
hanging around all these people. He's
These are church people.
the one that's got all the.
Baddies.
I've never seen a possession.
No, me neither. I don't think. I've never seen a possession.
I've been in church my whole life, so I've been around some of the weird parts of church.
Yeah. Hey, cool, man. That's awesome. That's the best parts of church, if you ask me. Any aversion to sacred objects or actions on any of these people's account? I'm reading like what you have to meet some criteria before they'll give you an exorcism.
Oh,
How about uncontrollable blasphemies or curses?
I don't know. I don't
Okay.
remember.
It's disappointing. You're supposed to give me more unusual body phenomena, farting,
Diarrhea.
Uncontrolled.
vomiting nails, anything cool like that. Here's stories. Crazy.
A friend of mine, he's a youth pastor, and then he's a pastor. I don't know what he's
Yeah.
doing now. He was telling me a story of they had a demon possessed person in their like in his office, like harassing him, and like guy ended up sitting down and having a conversation with him, and he gave the guy a Bible, and to that guy the pages were blank. He couldn't read any of the words.
That's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. Did he hand him a blank Bible, just trolling him?
Oh, that'd be so funny.
Oh, that would be funny. Just messing with this
Got
poor
this
crazy
blank
person.
Bible. oh man.
The guy now thinks he's possessed.
Well, now I'm gonna like order me a blank Bible. And give it.
Yes, and hand it to the next kook you see. That's a terrible thing to do. Don't
It would be a terrible. I'm not gonna do that. To
Don't
someone.
listen to me. I'm a bad person. Oh my God.
I can't think of any other stories.
You ever have like a spiritual attack?
A spiritual what?
It's like a spiritual attack. Do you ever feel like you've ever come under like a spiritual attack?
Attack?
Yeah.
Oh man. So that's language, and like the world I come from, that's language that we use pretty often, like spiritual attack. Like,
Okay. Yeah, me too.
so it's like for different people, it looks different ways, but like, so me personally, like I try not to give credit where credit isn't due, and so like
Totally understandable.
sometimes
Because it
life.
could be you're just an asshole.
Well, and sometimes life just
Yeah.
sucks. Like the car
Yeah.
breaks down, the washing machine breaks, all your kids get sick
get
at once.
boils.
You know,
Yeah, there's worms coming out of your mouth. Yeah,
but
it's
but
normal.
sometimes there are like I don't know, like there are spiritual aspects. Sometimes like, you know, because like myself included, like I know like when I felt like okay, God was calling me to do something, and then all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Like going on a mission trip
You
or
get
something,
sick.
and then all of a sudden, like life sucks, like for a while. Like in
And
2015,
you're like, I don't want to go do this.
in 2015, I was going to Nepal on a mission trip with a church.
Viva Nepal.
Nepal's an awesome. Man, I would love to go back to that place. Anyway, we were going to Nepal on a mission trip. Well, a week before I'm supposed to leave the country for 2 weeks, leave my family for 2 weeks, our house floods. Like
Yeah.
a pipe burst under the sink. We wake up to an inch of water through most of the house. So I have to move my family into a hotel and manage getting my house ready, as well as like at some point pack to go on this trip. Like I moved my family back into our house the night before I left on a 2 week trip.
Yeah.
And so like to me, like stuff like that is like,
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that happens. And like, it happens all the time.
and it, you know, it's a distraction from like what I felt like I was called to do, and like
Exactly.
I don't, because I didn't want to leave the country with my family still living in a hotel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like it's my job to help get that stuff put back together. So, stuff like that. So, but
Okay.
like I said,
that's
try
exactly what I was asking.
Yeah,
So
stuff
I
like
was just
that.
curious.
I try not to give too much credit where credit isn't due, but also the timing of life just getting really sucky sometimes is suspect.
Yes. Okay.
What about you?
Oh yeah, I think so. There was a few weeks like where every Monday I would, for me, I'll get very angry, like for no reason. It'll just turn out like this. I think that's one of my probably my biggest sins. Is
You ever
anger.
ridden with this guy? Whew. Can confirm.
I've seen some anger on dirt bikes.
I think that's like my core sin is probably anger. And oftentimes, like every Monday, because like we have a rosary group on Monday. It's like my favorite day that we go hang out with old people and whatever. It's fun. I just like it because it makes me feel good. For a while, like every Monday, I would after work, I would just get really mad for no reason. Like it would just kind of like come over me like a hot flash.
Mm-hmm.
And then but then we started praying more like deliverance prayers type stuff, and it kind of went away. But I remember a lot of for Mondays for like 5 weeks straight. Really, it just kept getting uglier and uglier. And it was just like, and I'd go there and I'd be super negative, which you don't want to go to prayer group like negative, right? You're ruining everybody's time. But nothing crazy like the house blows up right before I got to go on a mission trip. But I don't do anything, so
You
gotta
should
go on more mission trips.
You should.
I
try.
know. Trust me. Trust me.
Next time I go to the DR, go with me.
I will. Okay. We'll both go.
Yeah. Also,
Who is-
side note,
when you say who both?
You and me.
all
No,
three
you're
of us
going to be
go.
in Sumter County back with the witch lady, probably, or Kentucky.
Side note,
Plenty of witches there.
when you say you're hanging out with old people on Monday nights, are you part of old people?
They're older than me.
Oh, okay.
Like I'm the young person.
You're the young
Me
yoked.
and Anna
He's
are
the
young.
hip.
Hey, what's up, hipster?
Yeah.
Are them skinny jeans that you're wearing?
But
But yeah, I
Old.
can totally see what you're describing.
yeah, I was wondering because I know you do a lot.
So it's late. What do you guys think about doing like a part 2 to this thing? Because I know you
Right
got,
now?
Yeah. Like do a part
Let's
2
go.
like at another.
Do we
date.
have enough to talk about on this one? To go part
Actually,
two?
we could probably talk for 10 hours on the subject if we really wanted to talk. Like I can talk about this all
A
day.
deep dive.
We could technically deep dive. Matt gets bored easily.
I
Like
know.
when it's not Matt's turn to tell stories, he's like,
When Matt is both bored and tired, like it's all over his body language. I'm surprised he's not playing Tetris on his phone right now.
He was.
I
texting
was
people.
kind of just like doom scrolling a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I figured. Yeah, Mike and I are over here having deep conversation, and Matt's in a different world.
When you leave this podcast, it's going to shift.
Sleepy.
Become quite spiritual.
Do we need to rebrand and get rid of the enduro in our?
Yeah.
We could have
Maybe.
like half the wall will be like just graven images.
And the other half motorcycles?
Will be like one Protestant cross that you can have on your side of the wall.
Because that's all we need. We just need Jesus. We don't need anything else.
Jesus not even on your cross. You took him off your cross.
Well, because he's not on the cross. He's in heaven.
That's true, but you got to remember the suffering. It's
We do.
important.
We do. That's why we take communion.
We can have a conversation.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I'm sorry, Matt. We
derailed.
have a lot of derails.
Actually, I think it was all on topic.
Yeah, mostly. It was all related.
No, it's fine. I think just starting this at
It's late.
I have another. So this is
Friday too. Friday. I'm
What?
Saturday. I can stay up a little later. And then by Sunday, when Sunday rolls around, it's like, oh cool, I got to get back on schedule for work.
Yeah.
And it's like
And then-
11:30 at night. And I'm just
And
laying
by
in bed,
Friday,
like,
you're brain dead. So
Yes.
this will be my last story. So I shared a story when, like, my life was saved on the highway. My dad, he's got a very similar story. My dad worked in Africa for a long time. He's in the oil field. Dad oil field his whole career. He started as a roughneck when he was 18, worked his way up. So at some point he was working for Halliburton, and he was working in Africa. His rotation was 35 on, 35 off, and so
Did he come home?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So like he
35 days?
35 days, and so when he was at work, he was in Africa for 35 days. It's like he didn't exist. But when he was home, he was home. So he had essentially had 6 months of vacation a year because his rotation was 35 on, 35 off. Anyway, one year it was probably getting close to Christmas time. He woke up one day. He's like, you know what? I'm going to surprise my family. I'm going to fly home a day early.
Okay.
And so he pulled some strings because, like, for them cutting their time short wasn't a normal thing because it was kind of a pain in the neck. Somebody else had to cover him, and the other but he just woke up one morning. He's like, you know what? I'm going to fly home early and surprise my family. He got on the phone, started pulling some strings, made some things happen, and he flew home. The flight that he was scheduled to be on
Shut up.
crashed. Swear to God.
Really?
Yeah. The flight he was supposed to be on the next day crashed. No survivors.
Wow.
No survivors. That's terrifying, bro.
Yeah. Like I almost didn't have a dad. Dad almost died of malaria.
Well, that's totally believable.
Yeah.
Presume.
But like,
I would be surprised if he didn't almost die of malaria in Africa.
but he in Africa, right? So he contracts malaria in the States in Victoria, Texas. Nobody knows what to do with it. So
What, he got malaria in where? In Africa? or-
yeah, in Africa.
Oh, but he came over there. Like,
He
"What's
came
wrong,
home
Steve?"
and like the symptoms start getting worse and worse, and the doctors don't know how to fix it.
They didn't ask, hey, have you ever been anywhere?
No, they knew what it was.
Oh.
But they just couldn't get on top of it. Like he was jaundiced, like he was going downhill fast.
Yeah.
And one day in church,
Is he okay now?
oh yeah, one day in
malaria's
church,
for
Sister
life.
Martinez prayed
Okay.
for him, and like it cleared up.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Power of prayer.
yeah.
Makes me happy.
Dad's seen some stuff.
Matt, come on, buddy.
You're like spacing out on us.
You're in a foxhole, man. Wake the fuck up.
You
And
about
it's
to fall
bearing
asleep
down
over
on
here.
you.
Anyway, so should we rebrand the podcast,
Oh, when Matt dies or leaves, I mean?
or even now? We're like we don't
Sorry.
like we've been going for over an hour and a half, and we talked about dirt bikes for about 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Are we officially just done? Should we start a new IG?
Wait,
a new
this
everything?
is like a garbage preternatural podcast. Like, we don't stay on topic. Stories like loosely related to what we're talking about. It's just kind of like a hodgepodge, though.
We'll think about it. We can flesh it out.
Will it ever get fleshed out?
Figure-
the
no.
last podcast we did was in March.
Figure something out about.
We have to do at least one more before Matt leaves.
Yes, like we should do it every other weekend.
still got like 6 months.
Brother,
Bro,
it took us
our
8 to
last
do this
episode was
one.
8 months ago.
That's your guys' fault. Figure your lives out.
That's brutal. Okay.
It's hard to get 3 schedules to line up with
Especially when we're all
grown-ups.
busy.
Yeah.
Sucks.
I make it happen. It's always you guys. I'm going to Antarctica for 7 years.
I'm helping the Antarcticans.
I'm going to go
It's cold
look for
up there.
pyramids in Antarctica with Graham Hancock.
For real. Just get better. Get better. Make it a point. Yeah, I mean, I think we can probably come back to this stuff and
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we can
I
definitely
don't,
talk
I don't have any more stories, though.
demon stuff. That's fine. I mean, we'll fill this one up stories and we can talk. Because I mean, we really didn't go down the rabbit hole too much of like ghost versus demon. What are demons? What do they do? I think there's still a ton of stuff to talk about on that topic. Yeah, we'll think about podcast branding.
I still like the marmot. We could just put him in something else besides the sprocket.
100%.
He's like a vampire hunter.
Yeah, like Van Helsing.
Yeah,
Van
Yes.
Marmot.
he's an alien vampire hunter that also looks for werewolves.
It's just like kind of a goof. He
Yeah.
doesn't really care. He's just looking for him.
He's got ADD. He's got a lot of interests.
They fall off just like mine. Like, oh, okay.
Maybe that's why I haven't been interested in dirt bikes lately, because my ADD is like,
I am sure
Shifted.
100%.
you know,
Yeah, it's
not only
natural.
has life been busy and family been busy, but like, maybe my ADD is kind of,
Got to get medicated, sir. telling you,
Made it this far.
life is good.
I've made it this far. The occasional Red Bull helps me a lot. If I drink a Red Bull, I can be like on topic.
Can you?
Focused for a little while? Yeah.
For like 10 minutes.
I'm
We
ready.
got him for 10 minutes.
I'm ready to play
let
us
him rip.
off.
All right. Plays
Oh,
off.
oh, yeah, please
if you're
do.
still listening, thanks for listening. This was the final episode of 2024 and maybe ever.
Crank it up, I can't hear it, bro.
What is that?
It's Exorcist.
Oh, Exorcist.
It's like barely registering over here.
Oh, really?
Anyway, thanks for listening to our second episode this year and maybe our last ever. So, signing off.
You're the most
Forever.
negative
Why are you so
person.
negative, bro.
I'm just
Spiritual attack.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. I didn't tell you the best story. I didn't want to say it on there. It's fucked up. Dude.